Hello everyone and welcome back to the Rent to Retirement YouTube channel. My name is Sam Hack and today we're going to be digging deep into the 1031 exchange, explaining what it is for those of you who don't know, and how we can use it in our real estate investing career. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to stay up to date with our videos. I love to hear feedback, so please leave me a comment below. So, what is a 1031 exchange anyway? A 1031 is an exchange of investment property for other investment property that allows us to defer capital gains taxes. The name, although it might seem fancy, is just the section in the IRS tax code that lays out the rules for how this exchange can take place. The 1031 exchange is just one of many tax advantages that real estate provides. You can learn more about tax advantages from our 5 benefits of investing in real estate video, as well as the how does real estate stack up to investing in a 401k video. All right, so now let's get into the specifics of the 1031 exchange. First, the properties being exchanged must be considered like kind in the eyes of the IRS in order for capital gains taxes to be deferred. The rules around the like kind specification are actually pretty loose though, so you can really exchange any type of investment property for another. This can be regardless of if they're the same amount of units, the same type of real estate, so that's residential or commercial, or if they're improved or just raw land. The only thing you really have to worry about is making sure they're both in the United States, okay? Second, the word exchange may seem like you are swapping a property with someone else, but the word isn't meant literally. Most 1031 exchanges are delayed exchanges, which involve a third party. In order to correctly do a delayed exchange, the proceeds from the sale of your current property must be held by a third party, usually an escrow company, and the proceeds must then directly go into the purchasing of your new property. Let me be clear about this. You never actually see the proceeds from the sale of the first property in your bank account. Those proceeds must be held by a third party, otherwise you're not going to be compliant within the 1031 exchange rules. 2 additional things that you're also going to want to be aware of during your 1031 exchange process, in addition to using a third party, are the 45-day identify rule and the 180-day close rule. The 45-day identify rule says that you must identify in writing the property or properties that you'd like to 1031 exchange into within 45 days of the sale of your current property. Then the 180-day close rule says that you must close on such identified property or properties within 180 days of the sale of your current property. If you have any additional money left over from the purchase of the new properties, it will be paid back to you. However, you'll have to pay capital gains tax on it. You must also maintain the same amount of liability or leverage if you want to avoid paying capital gains taxes. If the amount of liability or leverage is less than you had before, you'll also owe capital gains tax on that amount. If your liability or the amount that you have mortgaged decreases, you'll also owe capital gains tax on that amount, just like any cash back. You'll always want to maintain the same amount of cash in the property or equity, as well as the same amount of leverage or more to avoid paying capital gains tax. If used correctly, there's no limit on how many times or how frequently you can use the 1031 exchange. Just keep trading up until you achieve your dream investment portfolio. Now let's run through a quick example to show you the power of the 1031 exchange. Let's say you bought an $800,000 property with a $100,000 down payment, and that property is now worth $1 million. You would owe capital gains tax on that $200,000 gain. This $1 million property has 30% equity, or $300,000, and 70% leverage, or $700,000. If we used a 1031 exchange after the sale and rolled the proceeds over to another property or properties, we could completely defer the liability of capital gains taxes on that $200,000 gain. But we have to make sure we follow the rules. Remember, we have to buy something that is like kind, so we have to buy other real estate. We couldn't go out and buy a bunch of livestock or arcade games or something like that. It has to be in the real estate class of asset. We also must get a 1031 approved third party involved to handle the funds. Remember, we're never actually going to see the money in our own bank account. The third party is going to handle all of the transfers. Next, we must identify a new purchase property within 45 days of the sale of our current property, and we must close on that new property within 180 days. We must maintain the same amount of cash, $300,000, and the same amount of liability, $700,000 or more, in order to defer the total amount of capital gains taxes that we would normally owe. If we do all of this correctly, we can completely defer the tax liability that we would owe on that $200,000 gain and redeploy that into other properties that would hopefully add up to give us a much higher return on investment. Dividing our $300,000 in equity into 3 different properties, we could put $100,000 down on each of the 3 properties and use leverage for the rest. This would allow us to increase cash flows now that we have 3 properties, and all the while deferring capital gains taxes. We don't just want equity sitting around in our properties. We want our little green soldiers, our dollar bills in equity, out there working and fighting for us. The 1031 exchange is a very, very good way to do this. The icing on the cake for this strategy is that these tax deferments are actually forgiven at death. So this could help create multi-generational wealth and provide your family a very secure financial future. Gary Keller, the founder of Keller Williams, the largest real estate company in the world, says, in the end, it's the tax-deferred 1031 exchange that gets massive use by millionaire real estate investors. Trust me, Gary knows a thing or two about real estate. Needless to say, the 1031 exchange is an extremely powerful tool in real estate investing. However, with great power comes great responsibility. You really don't want to mess up the 1031 exchange. This is why we highly suggest hiring a real estate tax professional to properly execute your 1031 exchange. Please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell below. Please also visit us at renttoretirement.com for more real estate education and investment opportunities. You can also contact us directly at info@renttoretirement.com or 800-311-6781. I'll see you next week.